As goes the city, so goes the nation. In our cities live the industrialist and the man of business, the artist and the artisan. What then is a city but its people? When all is well, the city prospers. Human, a city too can sicken if ravaged by discontent, dispute, unemployment. The murmurs of a city in anguish can often be heard. What invariably follow are suffering and hardship. Many of the cities and towns in India suffered in this way during the early days of independence. No work, no money, no food. And when the child was ill, no medicine. There was only water to cool his parched and fevered frame. Such were the conditions that sometimes even the milk of human kindness was diluted. Food was lacking because the country wasn't producing enough. In spite of controls, hundreds of thousands of tons of food grains had to be imported. This meant a heavy drain on our foreign exchange. Lack of work, lack of housing, lack of food were India's lot when her independence was just in its infancy. The prospects that faced the nation, legacy of foreign rule, would have spelt chaos if allowed to continue. Where then lay the answer to solve our problems? It lay in a planned program, a phased program. We had to face the fact that India's financial resources are limited. There just isn't enough money to tackle all our problems at the same time. So we had to draw up a plan of priorities. The first priority was food. To grow more, we had to harness the unruly rivers for irrigation and for power. Taming the rivers was a tremendous task. The available water resources of the country had to be carefully gauged and harnessed. The first and second plans, therefore, saw the implementation of many a river valley project. The turbulent rivers are being spanned, their forces controlled by massive structures of steel, cement and stone. These are only some of the many hundreds of major and minor irrigation and power schemes that are the fruits of the 5-year plans. The projects so far completed have increased the country's power potential from 2.3 million to 5.7 million kilowatts, an increase of nearly 150% from 1946 to 1962. The projects have also provided irrigation for 13 million acres of thirsty land. To convey life-giving water to the fields that need them, a network of new canals is being created. During the first and the second plans, the increase in the production of food grains was 50%. A good effort, but still not good enough if we take into account our 8 million more new mouths to feed each year. However, by 1965, at the end of the third plan, we should be growing enough for our needs, about double of what was produced in 1950. Food to feed the people, and power to feed the nation's industry. Cities grow as industries grow, giving employment to their citizens. But industries mean machines, and machines are mainly fashioned from steel. Steel has been in short supply, but the second plan gave a great impetus to producing more iron and steel. The existing steel plants at Jamshedpur in Bihar and Burnpur in West Bengal were enlarged to double their production. The output of Mysore's Bhadravati steel plant was also increased. But even then, these three iron and steel works couldn't take care of the country's growing demands. So three new steel plants were established. At Rourkela in Orissa, at Bhilai in Madhya Pradesh, and at Durgapur in West Bengal. Each of these plants has an ingot capacity of 1 million tons a year. Steel is a great multiplier in any economy. Steel for bridges, steel for transport, steel for the steeds to haul the nation's passengers and freight. Locos from Chittaranjan and coaches from the integral coach factory at Perambur, Madras. Solid achievements on the ground, and on the horizon with the recent production of the supersonic jet. To increase our tonnage at sea, ships are being built at the Hindustan Shipyard Limited at Visakhapatnam. Bharat Electronics Limited at Bangalore manufacture transmitters, communication receivers, transceivers, broadcasting units and so forth. Bulkier units in an allied field are produced by heavy electricals at Bhopal. Generators, Hindustan Cables Limited at Burdwan in West Bengal make the cables, and the Indian Telephone Industries at Bangalore the telephones. The Hindustan Machine Tools factory near Bangalore helps to meet the nation's needs of precision equipment. Machines that make the machines, increasing India's industrial output on every front and providing more and more employment. Cogs and cars, ball bearings, bicycles and batteries, typewriters and textile plants, refrigerators to make life happier for many of our countrymen. But to house the factories, we need cement. In the last 10 years, the country's cement production has increased by 300%. Expanding cement production has given a vital boost to housing in our cities for the man of moderate means. The government subsidized housing scheme for industries has completed so far 100,000 tenements. But these improvements in accommodation require master plans for the proper use of land and building loans to cooperative housing colonies. A great number of houses for the low and middle income groups have been constructed and are helping to change the entire look of urban life. To safeguard the health of all, a hygienic water supply is essential. Over 650 water supply and drainage schemes are underway, costing 1,000 million rupees. The target is a tap in every home. Safe water and safe milk. Milk cooperatives in major cities have brought us the benefits of pure pasteurized milk, a boon to city dwellers and the perfect food from a bottle for growing children. Speaking of children, how does the future add up for them? Each plan has accented education and child welfare. The problem is to keep abreast and teach the growing number of infants. By the end of the third plan, they may number 10 million new students annually. For education to be a success, pay scales are being appreciably increased to attract the right type of teacher. A measure of the importance attached to learning can be seen by the vast increase in educational institutions. During the first and second plans, schools grew by 73%, from just over 230,000 to nearly 400,000. In the next 5 years, another 100,000 schools are to be established. Because science plays today a very prominent part in technical and industrial advancement, more encouragement is being given to scientific study and research. Intensive research is also being conducted in the fields of atomic energy. We were the first nation in Asia to have an atomic reactor, Bombay's Apsara, in operation since 1956. The second research reactor, Zarlina, was built at Trombay near Bombay. The third, also at Bombay, was the Canada-India reactor. It produces radioisotopes for use in research in agriculture, industry, biology and medicine. Our well-being is fundamental to progress in any sphere. Great importance is therefore being given to guard the nation's health. During the plans, there has been a notable increase in the number of doctors and nurses in the country. During the last 10 years, the number of hospital beds has increased by 65%. Already, life expectancy of the newborn has gone up by about 10 years during the last two plans, from 32 years to nearly 42. But when we are unwell, we need some form of compensation to keep the home fires burning. Health insurance schemes provide the answer. They are being gradually introduced in mills and factories throughout India. A nominal monthly contribution ensures that employees and their families receive free medical treatment and the means to live while ailing. These then are the fruits of our 5-year plans. During the first and the second plans, our food grain production went up by 50%. Power generation rose by 150%. Our industrial production increased by 94%. The number of our schools is now 128% more. Our national income has gone up by 42%. And the coming generation can expect to live at least 10 years longer. Our independence is now 15 years old, our political independence, that is, for the fight is still on for freedom from want. To achieve a socialistic pattern of society, coupled to a self-generating economy, we are applying savings in science, effort and enterprise. It's a fight on many fronts against poverty that engulfs many millions. The 5-year plans are plans for action, plans for achievement, plans which will help to banish poverty and ignorance from our land. India is on the march, and there can be no resting on the road that leads to a better tomorrow, for those who witness the coming of freedom and for those who follow.